Very good morning to all the distinguished invitees, university staff, ladies and gentlemen. We warmly welcome you to the inauguration ceremony of the Annual Research Symposium 2022 of the Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo. Today, the event is hosted at the faculty premises located in Techno City, Pitipana, Homagama, Sri Lanka. With the mission to be a center of excellence in cutting-edge research in technology, we are now proudly inaugurating the 6th Annual Research Symposium of the Faculty of Technology under the theme, Role of Technology in Mitigating Challenges in Higher Education Sector. To begin the day's proceedings, let's pay our respect to our motherland. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to the national anthem. Thank you very much. Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, now the traditional lighting of the oil lamp will take place. I have the pleasure to invite the following distinguished personnel for kindling the lamp. Our chief guest, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo. Keynote speaker, Professor Emeritus Gamini Senanayake. Mr. Rizvi Sahid, Chairman, National Biotechnology Industry Association. To represent the Deans, Professor K.P. Hewagamage, the Symposium Chairperson of the University of Colombo. Senior Professor Sumedha Jayaneti, the Dean of the Faculty of Technology. Heads of the Departments of the Faculty of Technology, Professor Ranjana U.K. Piyadasa, Head Department of Environmental Technology. Dr. Jayani J.V. Valvala, Head Department of Agricultural Technology. Dr. Rohan Samarasinghe, Head Department of Information and Communication Technology. Dr. Hansika Atapattu, Head Instrumentation and Automation Technology. And to represent the Industrial Consultative Committee of the Faculty of Technology, I would like to cordially invite Mr. Saman Kulatunga and Dr. Kanchana Abesekara, the Symposium Chair of the Faculty of Technology. And I would also like to cordially invite Professor Radhika Samarasekara, Director General, Industrial Technology Institute, Sri Lanka. Thank you very much indeed. I would now like to cordially invite the following distinguished invitees and members to take their seats at the head table. Our chief guest, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo. Keynote speaker, Professor Emeritus Gamani Senanayake. The Dean of the Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor Sumedha Jayanethty. The Symposium Chairperson of the University of Colombo, Professor K.P. Hewagamage, and Dr. Kanchana Abesekara, the Symposium Chair of the Faculty of Technology. Thank you very much. Now, it's time to officially welcome all of you to this remarkable event. I would like to cordially invite Senior Professor Sumedha Jayanethty, the Dean of the Faculty of Technology, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning to all of you. Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo and our chief guest for this ceremony today. Professor Gamani Senanayake, keynote speaker and our former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ruhuna. Professor K.P. Hewagamage, Symposium Chair of the University of Colombo, Dr. Kanchana Abesekara, Symposium Chair of the Faculty of Technology, Director General, ITI, Professor Radhika Samarasekara, representing Industry Consultative Committee, Mr. Kulatunga from Elephant House, those who are joining online, deans and directors joining online, and also the keynote speaker, Professor Chandana Gunatilaka, again joining online, other distinguished invitees, and my colleagues from the Faculty of Technology, and ladies and gentlemen. Now, Faculty of Technology, from its inception, has been conducting the annual research symposium, and this is the 6th annual research symposium that the faculty is conducting. Now, to highlight the importance of this type of an activity, I would like to cite a couple of examples from outside, because we have two of the policy makers also here, our Vice Chancellor and a former Vice Chancellor also here, and then the private sector and other academics. Now, research plays a huge role in development of a society. We have some of our research students doing well overseas as well as in Sri Lanka and become eminent scientists. And it was only last week I got to learn from one of our own products from the University of Colombo that sooner we are going to have in the market mobile phones in the form that we see in Star Wars, the movie, a tablet, as well as a three-dimensional medical imaging system based on holography lasers from one of our own products based in Singapore. Now, he graduated from Colombo University and went on to get his PhD in electrical engineering from US. And from the beginning itself, his ambition was to become an entrepreneur. And he realized that the conducive environment for such an exercise would be a place close to Sri Lanka, like Singapore, and started his work there. And he has been getting patents, so many patents. Now he's ready to introduce these products to the market due to strenuous research that him and his team has been going on. And some of the workers are again some Sri Lankans. He chose Singapore because the environment is very much conducive. There's a Ministry of Law in Singapore, and all you have to do is to upload your patent application to the website, and then the Singapore government takes care of the rest. So you only have to make a small payment. If it is a local patent, it's like 350 Singaporean dollars, and if it is global, it's a bit more high. And he has managed to convince a Japanese investor. Now they have signed an agreement of $500 million to start his manufacturing company, and at the end, his ambition is to set up a company in Sri Lanka to have phones with a mark made in Sri Lanka. So that's a success story that we see. And recently, not in the nearest, I would say about 10 years ago, there's another story. I'm just trying to highlight the nano fertilizer introduced by Sri Lankan scientists, Japura and Peradeniya, and with the help of Slintech again, I think introduced this nano fertilizer to the market. And again, they wanted to get the patent for this and commercialize. We did not have, I think, Sri Lankan corporate sector to purchase this, but they managed to transfer the technology to India and managed to secure $1.5 million through this transaction. That's like 520 million rupees. So these are some of the highlights that I can take to basically tell you the importance of quality research that will lead to products that will bring a lot of dollars to this country. If we have quality research, that will lead to good products. That's two of the examples. We can find many examples like that. So I think having a good research culture at the university is going to be a very, very important thing, as well as establishing a research culture in the entire country is very important. That will lead to innovations, and some of the innovations will bring money through commercialization. So these examples tells us that it is not only the universities that has to play a role. Private sector and the policymakers all in combine has to play a huge role to get these products developed by universities through research for their commercialization and then bring money to this country. But the beginning has to be coming from the universities and other research organizations. On the other hand, we know that our Vice Chancellor is working hard these days to increase or improve the reputation of the University of Colombo, and I think you are being continuously pushed to put your Google Scholar profile to create a better image. That's another thing that we have to show. Now, that is global university ranking. Now I have, I think, a slide to show that established ranking systems like Times Higher Education and also Cockerell-Simmons. These are the established ranking. There are other ranking systems like US News, then National Research Council, and so on, right? Now, those ranking systems look at the research output of a university. 30% coming from research in the Times Higher Education ranking criteria, and another 30% for citations of research publications. Then industry outlook and commercialization also has to play a role. Same goes with the Cockerell-Simmons ranking. Basically similar criteria that we have. So in order to put our university in the ranking, again, the major thing that we have to concentrate or focus on is quality research that will lead to good products. And also to improve the citations, the quality research has to be published in highly recognized journals. So if you go to Web of Science, for example, there are 33,000 journals from all fields, coming from law to arts, humanities, all fields. So we have no excuse. We can always try to do quality research to publish our work in one of these 33,000 odd journals identified by Web of Science under Science Citation Index or Social Science and Humanities Index or any other index, they are there. So that's another way to increase the citation of our work in the global ranking mechanisms. Then, of course, we know that some of those works will lead to products and commercialization. So that's another aspect that we have to think of. So basically, having a good research culture in a faculty and in the university is a must for us to get to that developed nation status. That is what we see everywhere. So we have to start from small beginnings like this. Our work can be first presented at the annual research symposium like this. So from the beginning, we have been doing this, and this is the 6th time that we are doing it. This time also, I think we have about 12 abstracts to be presented today afternoon. So I would have preferred to see more abstracts, but I can understand in the last couple of years, we had some problems, so things were not that good for us to be productive. But we have to continue this tradition and try to publish our work in quality journals, even some of the undergraduate work If we do quality research, I am pretty sure we can do that. So in today's event, we have two tiers. One is that our researchers will present their work this afternoon. That's one. And there's another tier where when you go downstairs, there are some exhibits that we can see. Those have been developed by our own undergraduate students. So I think we have to be productive, not only introducing new products to the market for commercialization, and also trying to get quality publications that are recognized at global level. The problems that we are addressing could be of national importance or global importance. It doesn't really matter. Even some of the fundamental sciences would be of importance because they will lead to good products later on. So we have to concentrate on this area and try to focus on establishing a strong research culture in this faculty, which should be applicable to the entire university also. So, with that in mind, for today's event, I will welcome our chief guest, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, our Vice Chancellor, who is trying to work hard to get our, basically improve the image of the university, to attract international students as well as international researchers. So that's another thing that will happen with the improved reputation of the university and the ranking. Then I also warmly welcome Professor Gamini Senanayaka, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ruhuna, and the keynote speaker. And the other keynote speaker, Professor Chandana Gunathilaka, I don't know whether he is already online. I would like to welcome him as well. Then I like to welcome Professor K.P. Hewagamage, Symposium Chair this year, warmly to the Faculty of Technology. Then the Director General of ITI, Professor Radhika Samarasekara, Mr. Gunathunga, member of the ICC, and all the other distinguished invitees, including the deans and directors who are joining this event online, as well as the other distinguished invitees, and my colleagues from the Faculty of Technology, including both actually academic and administrative staff members, as well as the presenters who are going to present their work this afternoon, while also congratulating them for their efforts. I should not forget the efforts by FOSMedia, as well as there are 3 sponsors here. I would like to mention their contribution to make this event a success. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that warm welcome and the insightful thoughts. The Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo, has been established in 2016 to cater to the increasing demands of the technology education in the country. The prime objective of the faculty is to be an internationally recognized center of excellence, aligning with the changing technological needs in society through integrated multidisciplinary curriculum and multidisciplinary research. Now it's time to reveal a short video clip to showcase the progression of the annual research symposiums and the progression of the development of the Faculty of Technology since 2017 to 2021.
to 2021. The first annual research symposium was held under the faculty theme Technology for Environmental Sustainability. Annual Research Symposium Committee of 2017 consisted of Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor JKDS Jayanethi, Faculty Symposium Chair and Editor Dr. R.U.K. Piyadasa. The first annual research symposium was held under the patronage of former Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Lakshman Dissanayaka in College House. Keynote address was delivered by Dr. Vishaka Hindalage, Assistant Country Director, Sri Lanka Country Office, United Nations Development Programme. In the first annual research symposium, there are 5 abstracts covering agricultural, environmental, and instrumentation technology aspects. In conjunction to the first annual research symposium, we have launched the website of Faculty of Technology. Creation of logo for the annual research symposium of Faculty of Technology also took place in the same year. As the first step of moving to the permanent premises of faculty, laying foundation stone for hostels also happened in 2017. The second annual research symposium was held under the faculty theme Technology for Crossing Borders in Higher Education in 2018. The committee of annual research symposium consisted of Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor JKDS Jayanthi, Faculty Symposium Chair and Editor Dr. C.K. Hemachandran. The second annual research symposium was held under the patronage of former Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Lakshman Dissanayake in College House. The keynote address was delivered by Senior Professor Ajit Alves, Senior Professor of Chemical and Process Engineering, University of Moratuwa. There were totally 11 abstracts were published in second annual research symposium of Faculty of Technology. Few China researchers participated in the event as a result of collaborations with the faculty. As the next step of moving to the permanent premises of the faculty, foundation stone was laid to the new faculty premises in Pitipana, Homagama. By 2018, our first batch of students arrived and Faculty of Technology was started in a temporary premises in Malabar. The third annual research symposium was held under the faculty theme Role of Technology in Health and Well-being in 2019. Annual Research Symposium Committee of 2019 consisted of Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor JKDS Jayanthi, Faculty Symposium Chair Dr. J.J. Vevalvala, Faculty Symposium Editor Dr. W.K.S.M. Abesethara. Keynote address was delivered by Senior Professor Viranjana Karunaratne, Vice Chancellor, Slintech Academy, Sri Lanka. Totally 7 abstracts were published in Annual Research Symposium proceedings. Second Annual Research Symposium was held with the participation of local and foreign delegates in Health and Well-being in 2019. With the arrival of second batch of students, the IIT department was moved to a temporary location in Malabar in 2019. During 2019, the progress of construction of the permanent faculty premises happened in Pitipana, Homagama. The third annual research symposium was held under the theme Technology for a Clean and Healthy Nation in 2020. Fourth Annual Research Symposium Committee consisted of Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor JKDS Jayanthi, Faculty Symposium Chair Dr. H.Y.R. Atapattu, Faculty Symposium Editor Dr. U.S. Muthugala. keynote address is delivered by Dr. K.P.A. Senara, former Deputy Director, Research and Technical Services, Industrial Technology Institute, Sri Lanka. 3 plenary speeches were delivered by 3 heads of departments of Faculty of Technology at the 4th Annual Research Symposium. 12 research abstracts were published covering new trends in technology in Annual Research Symposium. In 2020, opening ceremony of the permanent premises of Faculty of Technology held under the patronage of former Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Chandrika and Vijayaratna in Humagama. The 5th Annual Research Symposium was held under the faculty theme, The Role of Technology in Interdisciplinary Research, as an online event. The committee of the 5th Annual Research Symposium consisted of Acting Dean, Faculty of Technology, Professor R.U.K. Piyadasa, Faculty Symposium Chair, Ms. Sherina Saleh, Faculty Symposium Editor, Dr. Rohan Samarasinghe. Keynote address was delivered by Professor Pradeep Abhay-Gunawardana, Director, Technology Diffusion Digital Economy, Information Communication Technology Agency. 4 plenary speeches were conducted in the 5th Annual Research Symposium by Dr. D.S. Athukorala, Dr. M.K. Jayananda, Professor C.M. Nanayakara, Senior Professor D.K. Veerapur. 12 abstracts were published in the Proceedings of Annual Research Symposium. 5th Annual Research Symposium was held under the patronage of former Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Chandrika and Vijayaratna. Overview of the research and development strength of the Faculty of Technology. Research directions of Faculty of Technology can be mainly categorized into agricultural technology, environmental technology, instrumentation and automation technology, information and communication technology. Practicals at research and crop technology, microbial technology and food technology are conducted in the laboratories available in Agricultural Technology Department. Department of Environmental Technology consists of laboratories to perform experiments in geochemistry, environmental toxicology, environmental microbiology and many more. Department of Instrumentation and Automation Technology consists of series of laboratories to perform experiments and research on robotics, physics, SolidWorks, circuit simulations and PLCs. Department of Information and Communication Technology consists of series of computer laboratories to perform practicals related to mobile application development, artificial intelligence and human-computer interaction. State-of-the-art infrastructure facilities available at Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo with potential avenues of fund generation. The mechanical workshop is equipped with variety of machines such as lathe, milling, numerical control machines and hydraulic presses for teaching and research development in the faculty. High throughput screening bioactivity testing facility is available in Faculty of Technology, which can be used in the fields of food technology, biotechnology, cell biology, in order to detect and quantify biological, chemical and physical parameters of samples. Scanning electron microscope provide excellent quantity imaging results with resolution up to 20 nanometer with capability to handle a variety of materials. Also, FTIR spectrometer is used to identify and characterize organic materials, polymers, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals, and etc. A plant house and a greenhouse can be used to design and conduct experiments related to plant breeding, optimization crop growth conditions, studying precision irrigation systems, and many more. Number of research grants have been obtained with the collaboration of local and foreign bodies. Following are some of the collaborations and research links established with national and international universities. Number of PhD and MPhil students have been already registered under the Faculty of Technology. Also, Diploma in Technology of Waste Management is currently conducting under the Department of Environmental Technology. 2 master's degree programs are in preparation. Masters of Science in Automation and Robotics will be offered by Department of Instrumentation and Automation. Master of Coastal Resources Management will be offered by Department of Environmental Technology. Industrial Consultative Committee of Faculty of Technology consists of resource persons from different industries to give industrial exposure to the students. As the corporate social responsibility, different departments of Faculty of Technology have conducted community development programs in different areas in Sri Lanka. Faculty of Technology welcomes 6th Annual Research Symposium under the theme Role of Technology in Mitigating Challenges in Higher Education Sector under the patronage of Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne in 2022.
Video clip. And I would like to thank Dr. Shatrika Silva and the team for producing that nice video clip. Now, I would like to cordially invite Dr. Udara Muthugala, the Director of Undergraduate Studies of the Faculty of Technology, to please present the Faculty Student Handbook for the academic year 2023 to 2023 to the Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne. Keynote speaker, Professor Emeritus Gamini Senanayaka. Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor Sumedha Jayanthi. Symposium Chairperson of the University of Colombo, Professor K.P. Hewa Gamage. And Dr. Kanchana Abesekara, the Symposium Chair of the Faculty of Technology, and also Professor Radhika Samarasekara, Director General, Industrial Technology Institute, Mr. Saman Kulatunga, representative of the Industrial Consultative Committee of the Faculty of Technology, and also Mr. Anura Dasanayaka, Coordinator of the Industrial Consultative Committee of the Faculty of Technology, and also Mr. Rizvi Sahid, Chairman, National Biotechnology Industry Association, Thank you very much, Dr. Muthugala, for the preparation of the faculty handbook. Without his guidance, inspiration, and leadership, organizing the annual research symposium of the Faculty of Technology would be impossible. Let me now cordially invite our chief guest, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, to address the gathering.
Very good morning to all. Senior Professor Sumedha Jayanthi, Dean of the Faculty of Technology, keynote speaker, Emeritus Professor Gamini Senanayaka, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ruhuna, Symposium Chair, Professor Hewa Gamage, Symposium Chair, Dr. Kanchana Abesekara from the Faculty of Technology, all keynote speaker, Professor L.C. Gunatilaka, all other distinguished invitees, heads of the departments, faculty members, paper presenters. First of all, I would like to congratulate for paper presenters today. They have done their research by sacrificing their time and money, and they are, as individuals, they are doing this in a country like Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, in advanced countries, mostly research outcomes coming as research projects, which is financed by either industry or either international donor agencies. So, Annual Research Symposium 2022 of the University of Colombo, a title is Digital Transformation and Innovative Approaches to Mitigate Challenges in the Higher Education Sector, which is timely appropriated topic. We know entire education system is transforming into digital. I hope Dr. Hewa Gamage, Professor Hewa Gamage will explain that. And for the Faculty of Technology, you have selected as the title, Role of Technology in Mitigating Challenges in Higher Education. So it is also very important. Under the main theme, we are moving in today a very important discussions. I hope the paper presenters will make it dynamic research presentation sessions today. So we know the University of Colombo in Sri Lanka, according to the recent ranking, the Webometric ranking #1 in July, according to Times ranking in September, we shifted from 801,000 category to the 601 to 800 category. So we jumped up. And as the University of Colombo academics, again, we're proud in this year, 9 of our academics selected under 2% of best scientists in the world. So it is, I think, the largest number in ever history selected from the University of Colombo and selected from other universities also in Sri Lanka. So our academia is doing very well. We can see the university is progressing in terms of research achievements, and individual academics are also gradually entering into the global 2% scientist level. So I believe this kind of research conference will help to move into furthermore. So we have around 921 academics in University of Colombo, 9 faculties, again 9 institutes, including the virtual campus. So these 18 institutes consist from 921 academics. Until today, we have around 118 candidates. The academics, they have not still produced their Google Scholar approach. So all other around more than 700 academics they have their visibility in the Google citations. So we are proud to do that. And our task is to take this 118 also into the Google Scholar with presence, as well as to improve their citations. So in terms of citations in future, we are trying to award some awards for academics reaching the highest citations in University of Colombo. These days we are doing a Google Scholar analysis for all individual scholars, how their performance and how they reach in the certain citations. We have our highest citations earlier, around 40,000, and your dean also has significant citations, so that we can see the senior professors in University of Colombo, presence in this area, that's how. So all these things are going in individual basis. That is the problem. We know that we are not research universities. Universities have established in Sri Lanka for education and teaching purposes, because none of the globally ranked universities are not providing 13,000 student free education. So University of Colombo reached this level by providing 13,000 students free education. So we are different actually, because all 600 universities above us, none of the universities provide 13,000 free education. So our university is meant for historically only teaching. But now we can't say the same thing. So therefore now we are transforming, not only digitally transforming, but also the university system is transforming from the government funded teaching universities to research-based real universities which are trying to work out the financing by themselves and other ways. So there is some saying these days, you might have heard, that University of Colombo will take out of the Sri Lankan University Act 10 to have a separate University Act for University of Colombo to be an independent university from other universities. That discussion also going on some certain places. I have heard that. Anyway, we are very much delighted to be independent and have a global level university as the best university in Sri Lanka. Since 150 years, our presence in the country, it is right time to take independence and go in different dimensions. So in that purpose, I hope this technology faculty, from the inception, you have started this research culture. It is very, very important, because you can convert this even into an international level, international research conference in years to come by inviting keynote speakers and papers from globally. We need the foreign student and foreign scholars presence in our universities. At least the research conferences we need to go for international, then only our level will go up. So therefore, I hope all the academia in technology, you have done a very good job, and particularly your leader, Professor Sumedha Janetti, he has guided you, and you are doing well. Whatever we can do, we will do from the central side. So keep in touch and make these paper presenters today to publish their publications in index journals and convert into the particularly product launch. So product launch is also very important. Now some institutes in University of Colombo, they are organizing product launch and keeping some patent rights to the University of Colombo also. So thank you very much for inviting me for this sixth conference. We will look forward to have a productive, dynamic research conference today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful address. Now it's the time to present a token of our appreciation to chief guest. I would like to call upon the Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor Sumedha Janetti, to please present the token of our appreciation to Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo. I want to specially mention that the plaques are designed and produced by the Faculty of Technology with the support of the students of the faculty and utilizing the facilities available in the mechanical workshop of the Faculty of Technology. Thank you very much. Now it's time to express our appreciation to Professor K.P. Hewagamage for his outstanding contribution and dedication as the chairperson of the Annual Research Symposium 2022 of the University of Colombo. Professor Hewagamage, sir, I would like to courteously invite you to the front. To present the token of our appreciation to Professor Hewagamage, I would like to call upon Senior Professor Sumedhi Jayanthi, the Dean of the Faculty of Technology. Thank you very much. We move on to the agenda. Now, I would be pleased to invite all the distinguished invitees to witness the mini project exhibition of the technology students arranged in the lobby area of the ground floor while enjoying your morning tea break. Please stay with us. The keynote session will be started at 9:55 a.m. after this tea break. And thank you again for your participation and hope you have spent a productive day.
innovators are the ones who ask bold questions that no one dares to ask in the competitive field of science. They are the game changers. They are the driving force behind innovative companies and institutions like yours. And to support your purpose, we have been on a progressive mission since 1989 as a pioneer and forefront supplier of latest technologies, products and services to the sectors of healthcare, scientific, water and weighing, and agriculture within the Sri Lankan landscape.
Analytical Instruments Private Limited. Technology for customer success.
Adaptation of globally recognized innovations are carefully selected and valued against our culture, heritage, history and people and its resources within the company and at customer institutions. Keeping up with the times, we are now moving forward with the introduction of digital science classrooms in universities across the island. The interactive classroom offers both teachers and universities the chance to provide a new age educational experience to their students. Introduction of digital classrooms has become a success-oriented teaching method across many parts of the world, and this is why we want to offer the same opportunity to Sri Lankan students, who will then find learning to be a much more progressive and interesting experience.
Analytical Instruments Private Limited. Technology for customer success.
Hello. එක ෂෙයා වෙද්දි මේක ගන්න කියන්නේ.
මේකද ෂෙයා වෙන්නේ නෑ.
මේක ඕනේ නේද මේක ඩිලීට් කරලා දාන්න. නෑ මේක නෙමෙයි ෂෙයා වෙන්නේ. ඔව් මේක. මොකද දාලා නැහැ ගාමිණී සේනානායක
විතරයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ. මම නම් ඒකට පිටුවක් තියෙනවා. මෙයාට මම දන්නේ වැඩි මම යාළුවා විශ්වාස කරනවා.
සේනා ගොඩක් දේවල් කරලා තියෙනවා. එයා ඇවිත්
කොපෙන් හේගන් එක.
කොපන් හේගන්. assistant lecturer කෙනෙක් විදිහට වටේ.
ඔව් ඒක ඇවිල්ලා කොහොමද නේ? හරි පාත් එකේ ඇවිත් මුලින්ම යන්න උන්දා. කට්ටියට මතක් කරන්නේ ඒකට එන්නේ කියලා. හසිකලත් මතක නැහැ.
එනවා. වැඩම ඉන්වයිට් කරලා ඔක්කොම කළා සර් මෙතනට ආවට පස්සේ මම කිව්වට ෂුවර් නෑ සර් මෙතනට ආවට පස්සේ චුට්ටක් මේක හද පොඩ්ඩක් කියලා යන්න පුළුවන් මොකද කියන්නේ මේ ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක ඕකේ සර් ස්ලයිඩ් මෝඩ් දාලා ප්ලේ කරන්න කියන විතර
මොනම ස්ලයිඩ් මෝඩ් නැහැ
ඔව් ස්ලයිඩ් මෝඩ් එක දෙන්න තමයි
ස්ලයිඩ් මෝඩ් දාලාම තියන්නකෝ මේ මිනිස් The keynote session will be started at 9:55 a.m. Please be seated before 9:55 a.m. We move on to the agenda. The next in line is the keynote session. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Kanchana Abesekara, the Faculty Symposium Chair, to introduce the keynote speaker, Professor Emeritus Gamini Senanayake. Over to you, Dr. Abesekara.
Thank you, Dr. Hansika. Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure and privilege for me to introduce the keynote speaker of the 6th Annual Research Symposium of the Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo, the Emeritus Professor Gamini Senanayake, the former Vice Chancellor, University of Ruhuna, who is going to talk to us on reshaping the higher education landscape in Sri Lanka fit into the age of technology. Professor Gamini Senanayake has graduated from Faculty of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya in 1979. He has obtained his PhD in plant sciences at the Royal Veterinary and Agricultural University in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1988. Just after the graduation from University of Peradeniya, he has joined to the University of Ruhuna as an assistant lecturer and has climbed up the career ladder, stepping into all academic posts to the post of senior professor. In addition, he has held many academic administrative posts, namely the head of the department, Deputy Vice Chancellor and Vice Chancellor of the University of Ruhuna. Professor Senanayake has served as an advisor and consultant to many national and international academic and research institutes and development programs. At present, he serves as the chairman for Sri Lanka Council for Agricultural Research Policy, chief consultant of the City University Project, Ministry of Skills Development, visiting consultant of the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, member of the directors of the Rubber Research Board of Sri Lanka, and council member of the University of Vaunia. Although he has involved in many administrative activities, Professor Senanayake has excelled in his career in the research field as well. To date, he has published over 100 peer-reviewed scholarly articles in reputed journals and has won many prestigious awards at national and international level. So with this brief introduction, now I would like to cordially invite Emeritus Professor Gamini Senanayake to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Kanchana, for your nice introduction. And even though Vice Chancellor left the first slide. So moving from that end. That's okay. First slide will be better. Okay, so that is technology, right? So, so even though Vice Chancellor left the premises due to his heavy work schedule, I understand that. Being a Vice Chancellor, I know the difficulties in spending a lot of time in one place. So anyway, he's a very good friend of mine, and then the Dean, Senior Professor Jayanethi and Professor Hewagamagi also left the place, and Dr. Kanchana, Symposium Chair, and all the other distinguished guests, including Mr. Rishi, whom I know long time. My task is to deliver keynote speech on reshaping the higher education landscape in Sri Lanka fit into the age of technology. This topic is a very interesting topic. I will try to explain with my experience. Now, if you look at the world trends in higher education, right? One thing is increase in non-traditional students. So that is one of the issue because still I believe most of our national universities or the state universities, we deal with the traditional students who are sent in by the UGC. Then the next issue is embracing artificial intelligence for learning. That is the world trend. And what we have done. And online learning is becoming more popular, of course, even in Sri Lanka, because of this COVID-19 pandemic issue. Now we are in a new normal condition. And the virtual reality for education, to what extent that we are using this. This is the world trend. More focus on closing the skills gaps. Now still, I think most of the universities now doing this, but still some universities, they develop their curricula based on their expertise. Do they do a real need assessment, whether they have a very interactive dialogue with the industries, right? Are we preparing our students to fit into the job market? Are we looking at the skills that they want? Then the next one is the rise of massive open online courses, MOOCs. That is also one thing. And enrollment of international students, I think even the Vice Chancellor mentioned it. I think at present, we have the, we can accommodate 5% foreign students, but still most of the faculties, they are not doing that. So the growing need for alternate funding options. I think we all are talking about this fund restrictions. So those are the world trends. And the other thing is, I have given this picture here. Now earlier, we were studying and getting the degree using the hard copies or the textbooks. Then we moved to the laptops. Now most of the youngsters, they prefer the smartphone. So they prefer to get their degree from the smartphone. So these trends we have to study. Now when we talk about these non-traditional students, the world scenario is that 58% of the institutes or the universities in the world are without non-traditional students. But still we are in that 42 category. We are still working with the traditional students. So we may have to think. Then the embracing the AI, artificial intelligence for learning. Now the world situation is, this is a world survey conducted, the virtual assistants help 40% of student questions. But still I think we have not introduced that, right? So then the online learning is more prevalent, nothing to discuss. Then virtual reality for education. If you look at this, the industries with most virtual reality investments, mainly they invest mainly on gaming, but next, education. But are we prepared to work with this virtual reality through online, right? So we may have to rethink. Then the next issue is the skill gap. According to this world survey, the World Economic Forum has conducted a survey. According to that, new roles that will spring up in 2022 as a result of technological growth will be 133 million. So have we think about and have we prepared our students to fit into these new skills? So therefore we may have to rethink and prepare our curriculum accordingly. So then the next one is this open online courses, the massive open online courses. Lot of companies working with this, and So that is one other possibility. Especially, I think even the Vice Chancellor mentioned, the enrollment of international students, right? The strong demand for higher education is rising enrollment of international students worldwide. So this is the trend. So Sri Lanka, one time we discussed about we want to make the Sri Lanka as a higher educational hub in the country, in the world. But I think we have not done much. So therefore we may have to think about that as well. And the growing need for alternate funding options. You can look at this funding. The Sri Lanka, the lowest, right? Expenditure on education, if you look at. But this is because this is mainly we depend on treasury funding. I think Vice Chancellor mentioned that the Colombo University has come to the 6,000 level with 13,000 students free education. But all above the 6,000 universities in the world, they find their own funding. So this is a big challenge for us. So therefore, that is why Vice Chancellor mentioned that he preferred to have the independence or to be independent from government funding. So this discussion came about 6-7 years ago when I was the Vice Chancellor to make the universities independent and to make it competitive. So to grant the money to the student and student can choose the university, that concept. But some universities didn't like that because they had the scare, they were scared that they will not get sufficient students. So the argument was that they are in a different disadvantage, like locational disadvantage because it's not located in the metropolitan area, remote areas and so on. Then at that time also I told that take the location as an advantage, not as the disadvantage, right? So there are a lot of universities in the world purposefully located in the remote areas. Now one example is the International University of Japan, IUJ. It is purposefully located in a very remote area and it's only a postgraduate university, but there's a huge demand from all over the world for the postgraduate studies. So, but still, so therefore we have to look for alternate funding options if we want to become a world-class university. So those are the world trends, right? So with that background, now we'll look at the impact of technology, information and communication technology convergence, right? What is happening around us, right? Now you can see that mobile phone, smartphone has replaced all these electronic gadgets, right? If you take these things individually, it's about 26 kilograms of weight and the power consumption is 1,706 kilowatts, whereas smartphone is less than 1 kilogram, and only consume 5 watts energy effective. And you use with your smartphone, you can do all these things that has been done by these different electronic gadgets. So, is the preparedness of our university education sufficient to face this technological change? Are we prepared? So that is the question, right? So still we think about this lot of equipment, infrastructure and other things, right? So that is, we may have to think about it. And the technology diffusion, if you take, right, it's diffused. I mean, in 2030, we may have to think about this. Are we going to do the traditional way of lecturing and doing research and trying to disseminate our knowledge to the young generation? So these technology changes we may have to consider. And this is a well-known photograph. Now you can see that in the Easter morning in 1900 in the Fifth Avenue, New York City, you can see that from the left-hand photograph, only one single car is in that parade, right? All others are horse carts, right? But after 13 years, Easter morning in 1913, on the same place, Fifth Avenue, New York City, you can't spot the horses, all with cars. So this change has taken place within 13 years. Similar changes is taking place around us. So are we prepared this type of change in higher education in near future? So this is the challenge that we are facing with this technological era. So what are the challenges with that background? In recent years, higher education has been hit by a new wave of pressures from new technologies, business models, and lack of funds. These are three main issues. We have to be prepared for the new technologies, and our business model in the universities, right, totally depending on government treasury funding, is no more valid. We talk about the free education. Yes, I'm also a product of free education. I always support and safeguard free education. But the problem is that some of our academics and most of our students, they don't understand this. They think that when we say free education, there's no cost. But there's a cost. The cost incurred by the taxpayers of this country. So we are accountable for that, right? So that is why, as Vice Chancellor mentioned, that we have to be independent and we have to be competitive. Then only the similar things happen in different, now for example, you take banking sector. The earlier it was only the state banks, People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon and NSB, right? During that period, when a customer went to the bank people, they don't care. They take their own time, right? They take their own time and we have to spend hours until they get ready to serve us because they have the monopoly. With this private bank system came into the picture, then what has happened? The state banks, they have to change themselves. They have to be competitive. And it happened. And now state banks and private banks, the customer care, we don't see any difference, right? So similar things should happen in the university education also, right? Now the non-state sector and the state universities, right? Still we do not have a proper competition. Now it's coming up. We have to now open up our mind. But mainly, we are not bothered because we have the 100% job security. So we are not worried. But in most of the universities in the world, it's the performance-based. During, I think about 8 years ago, we proposed this, different tiers, that performance-based salary scheme. But our University Teachers Association, they objected it, and government was reluctant to implement it. In the world, it is happening. It's happening. Now, the person who have done good research and doing good teaching also getting, and the person who is not doing their job also, both are getting the more or less same salary. So we propose that give a basic salary to all. On top of that, the salary increment should be on performance based, right? So we have to change our business model. And the other thing is lack of funds, as I mentioned. So the higher education, once thought to be one of the most stable sector, now it has begun experience insecurity. Now it's happening. So people have to think about it, right? The other thing is variation with respect to the physical infrastructure and quality among higher education institutes in Sri Lanka. So that is also a big problem, the facilities and the quality. To minimize this discrepancy, it is necessary to increase cost-effective technology-based innovations instead of high-cost physical infrastructure developments. Now we are talking about the virtual campuses. So that is how we have to solve that problem. Now the physical space is immaterial. Now for example, my second son is in this private sector. He's working virtually. Now sometimes he spends 1 week in Indonesia, 1 week in Malaysia, 2 weeks in Australia, sometimes in Sri Lanka, but he's doing his job because it's virtual. So that is the thing, that we need not to have a designated space now, right? We have to think about that. The present curricula in almost all universities are developed for physical teaching and learning process. That is the one that we have prepared. But all of a sudden we move to the online teaching. But we have not made big changes in our curriculum. The curriculum is prepared for physical teaching and learning. Therefore, our curriculum is obsolete and not fit for the new technology. That we have to think about it. So all universities should pay serious attention to revise their curricula to fit into this new era of technology. So that is one thing that you may have to consider. Then some academics are not accountable for what they deliver. That is also a problem, right? This is mainly due to lack of performance-based appreciation and incentives. That is what I have mentioned little ago. Due to maximum utilization of new technology by the world reputed universities and their offshore campuses, there is an increased mobility of good students to those campuses. That is a big problem. Now, most of the youngsters, now about a week ago, my neighbor came and discussed with me. His daughter wants to do the London O-level and go to UK for the degree programs. They don't want to come to this, go through this traditional O-level, then A-level, and then stay 1.5 years at home, and then enter the state university and complete the degree. Then they think that they want to do it soon as possible. So therefore, this most of the good students are now moving apart from state universities. So in order to capture these good students, state universities need to be dramatically transformed their study programs to increase their competitive and comparative advantage. Still we believe that the most of the facilities, the full-fledged laboratories and other things are with the state universities, not in the private sector. But students prefer to go to the private education. That we may have to think that we have to use this competitive and comparative advantage of the state universities. So I would like to share this story of mobile phone, right? So that opened up our eye. The mobile phone was designed by the engineers in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, USA. They are the people who have designed this. Then the raw materials from countries which do not have the capacity to refine the raw materials. Example, titanium found in South African beaches. So that then the processing of this raw material in countries like Australia, because they have the technology, right? The design was done by the USA, the material came from the African countries, and the processing done in Australia, and the manufacturing and assembling of these mobile phones done in country like Korea and China, right? The distribution and selling by European countries, because we believe that European products are good, but then therefore everyone prefer to buy from Europe. But if you look at inside it, it's manufactured or assembled in China or Korea, but selling from European market. So this is the process, world process, where we, and our higher education has done to find chapter in this story. This, Sri Lanka or our higher education sector, we don't have any chapter in this story because it has taken place in the world, but we were not aware about it. So this is the thing that we may have to think if we want to reshape our higher education to fit into the technology era. So therefore, where we are, right? Our university system, is our university system ready to grab this new technology, or to develop new business models, or to make the programs cost effective? These are the three main challenges. Why majority of the students who are qualified to enter the national university system is not applying for university admission? We have to think about, are we prepared to make any radical changes to face this challenge? So I have given here this graph that you can see that the yellow portion, that is 58%, they are qualified to enter to the university, but even they have not applied. They have not lodged the application to the University Grant Commission. 58%. Right? It's a serious factor. And another 23 applied but not get selected. And only 19% are selected to the state universities. So what about the 80% of other youngsters who are qualified to enter to a university? And why they are not applied? Have you think about it? Why they are going for the private education? Right? These are very serious issues we may have to consider. So I did a rapid assessment in 10 districts in the country to find out the aspiration of students after A-level. This I did this with the help of the almost all universities in the country with academic support from them. This is done because I was given a responsibility to establish a totally new university system for Sri Lanka, and we called it city universities, and I named it as the Puravara Vishwavidyala, and I developed the proposal, and to develop this concept, I wanted to do a rapid assessment representing the whole country. There, when we look at the aspirations of students after A-level, 78% of the students who are sitting for advanced level, they want to engage in higher education. 78%, it's a considerable number. So their intention is to continue their higher education. But only 19% can admit to the university, and 58% they give up entering, even applying. Though their aspiration is to complete their higher education, 58% they don't apply even for higher education system in Sri Lanka. This is a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue, and we may have to think about it. That is why we thought that we want to develop another higher education system or the university system to be, to have a healthy competition with the state university system. But still we couldn't do it. Then student willingness to follow different programs, when we look at, right, 71% of the students, they want to do a degree program, right? And then we ask a question about their willingness. Their willingness to follow the degree while working is 90%. But in our state universities, there's no provision for that. So that is maybe the one reason why they are not applying for state university system. They want to do, or they want to continue their higher studies, leading to a degree, but while working, right? And willingness for online learning is about 61%. So these facts are very important in making the changes in higher education, curriculum changes and structural changes, administrative changes, and all kind of things. Then this is coupled with the city university concept. Higher education opportunities, we ask a question, higher education opportunities should be increased for Sri Lankan students. We ask this question from different strata, different level of in the community. Like we ask from professionals, graduates, undergraduates, industry experts, entrepreneurs, and school leavers. The answer is, for the question on the higher education opportunity, whether a higher education opportunity should be increased, yes. It is strongly agree that is about 92%. 92%, 71.1 strongly agree, and 21.3 agree in all level of society that higher education should be, opportunity should be increased in Sri Lanka, but not the way that present form. Then we ask another question, the city university is the best option to cater the need of the Sri Lankan students. So we offer the concept of city universities and then ask, then again, it's about 80%, they agree that city university is the best option. So what we should do, the concept of this should be taken into the state universities and make the changes, the possible changes to grab these youngsters. So that type of changes we need. Why I say so? The worldwide expansion of higher education enrollment, if you look at this, Sri Lanka is just above the sub-Saharan Africa. We are in a very low level, just above the sub-Saharan Africa, right? So we think that we are enjoying the free education and our literacy rate is high and all kind of things. But the real truth with the higher education, we are not in that good. We are not in a good place, right? The other problem is, especially with the technology, what is the weaknesses of Sri Lanka's higher education system? If we look at the lack of producing technocrats to run the technical aspect of Sri Lankan economy is only 15%. For example, if you take the people who are involved in technology, with the technology, only 15% of them are with the degree, technocrats. No cost effective due to inherent characteristics of the system. So if it is the case, why the inherent system is not cost effective, therefore government is reluctant to provide the funds. The increase in the gap between those who are eligible for university education and those who receive admission, also we have to address. Otherwise we can't fill this, right? So therefore, then we talk about this, are we cost effective? Because we always say that funding is not sufficient. I think, I don't know whether it is readable. But if you look at this public expenditure per higher education student in the country, so you can see that this country like Nepal, Bangladesh, and those countries, the expenditure per student is less than Sri Lanka. Less than Sri Lanka. We are spending more per student. But if you look at the lower graph, the gross graduation ratio, they are better than us. So that means they produce graduate at a lower cost. That means our present system is not cost effective. That we have to think seriously. And with this city university concept, I developed this model. I am not going to discuss this in detail and hand over this to the University Grant Commission, but with the traditional thinking, though Chairman UGC was very positive, he couldn't get this through the commission. Because we have developed our Sri Lanka qualification framework. We have the SLQF level 1 upwards. So what we suggest is, while we are having these traditional students coming from UGC, let the students who are not able to enter university through this traditional path, let them to follow the SLQF level 1 certificate courses, then diploma, then higher diploma, then lateral entry to the degree program and complete, right? But still, the standing committees at the UGC, they are very much, they have a very big resistance. But we have developed this qualification framework, but still not we are implementing it. So when I suggest this one, that's why I put that it will never happen, because that is my, because I tried my level best for last 2 years to get this thing done, because that will make a big change in the Sri Lankan university system, I believe. Because then, this is something which I explain later. I propose that in the most of the world class universities, they follow this multi-layer sandwich type education. So what that is, we call the problem-based education. So what they do, and what I propose to do through the city universities also, that once you select the students, directly they send them to the industries without teaching a single lecture. Let them to go to the industry and spend some time with the industry. Now they knew that I am going to do my higher studies in this field. Then they will see the real problems in the industries. What are the problems that I should solve? And to solve those problems, what type of education and what type of knowledge I should gain? That is what we call the problem-based education. Then they will come to the university, and then it's a tailor-made courses. It is not just the lecturer delivers the thing that lecturer wants to. The student will ask, I want this knowledge to solve this problem. I have seen this problem in the real world when I went to the industries. Then he will gain the knowledge, what he wants, not what the lecturer wants to deliver. It's a real interactive way of teaching learning. Then, again, after obtaining certain level of knowledge, the student then again will go to the industry, and then they look at these problems with that theoretical background and try to understand the problems, and then they will come out with, still they need some knowledge to solve these problems, that little advanced knowledge. So like that, the classroom lecturing and industrial training in between. So this is something like that I have proposed. anytime they can go out after certificate course or diploma program or higher diploma program and spend some time in the industry, and with that experience they can re-enter laterally and continue education. When this was failed, then I proposed that the second one, the multi-layer sandwich type education. Okay, enter the students in the traditional way, but allow them to go to the industry and try to find out the problems. Now we have the industrial training, but after 2 years or 3 years of theoretical knowledge provided at the classroom. But if we could send the students at the very beginning, then they have a target. I am going to solve this problem. Therefore, I want to get this knowledge. He has an aim to work on. Then they will not go to the roads and do the picketing because he has a problem to solve, to contribute to the national economy. So they will become more responsible and disciplined students and the people. So still, it is not happening the way that I expect. It's happening now in the certain universities, in certain degree programs to a certain level. So why this is important, this increase in the higher education opportunities and investment on higher education. It should be cost effective, but at the same time, government should invest on that. There's a bivariate linear relationship between government education expenditure and GDP across the large sample of the countries. Investment education is a positive relationship with the gross domestic product growth. GDP growth and the investment on higher education has a very linear relationship, positive linear relationship. So therefore, it needs to be done. Then with that present status of and the role of the Sri Lankan universities, we know that universities produce skilled people, no second word about it, and Professor Jayanthi mentioned a lot of examples of our products, our graduates. So we all agree that university produce skilled people, but fail to create innovation for a sustainable and knowledge-based economy in Sri Lanka. That the example mentioned Professor Jayanthi, he has started his industries in Singapore, not in Sri Lanka, right? Most of the academics are cocooned in the world of their own and fail to think out of the box and to deal with the technology. Not all, but some. The next 5 years are crucial for Sri Lankan universities to play their role correctly to create a healthier, greener, and more inclusive societies. Reconstructing the university mission for the 21st century require multitasking and digital learning skills for knowledge-based economy. Multitasking is an important thing, right? So we may have to develop our curricula accordingly, because we are thinking about the knowledge-based economy, especially bioeconomy. Now we are talking about the bioeconomy, knowledge-based economy, but still we have gone another step that now world is trend is for a bioeconomy. Universities must embrace a highly futuristic vision for the era of technology and be ready to face unpredictable catastrophes which may originate due to biological, political, and other reasons. So we have to be prepared. Now, for example, the COVID pandemic. During the last 4 decades, there was a massive increase in student numbers which took us away to an agenda different from the values of university academic competence. That is another problem. Whether we like it or not, University Grant Commission send us a large number of students but not giving sufficient facilities. That is also we have to think about it. How to increase employment opportunities by developing diversity of graduate skills in Sri Lankan universities has become preeminent, right? So employment opportunities, right? So we have to fit, there's a mismatch between the graduates and the industry need. The universities as think tanks must use their collective wisdom to equip students with 21st century skills and nurture talent new technologies through research in the fourth industrial revolution. So are we prepared for the fourth industrial revolution? We must embrace digital innovation as it will dominate the educational experience in the future. The method of teaching and learning must change for the 21st century learners through adoption of technology, training of teachers on technology, enable teaching learning, institutional support, investment resources, and to alter prevailing teaching practices. I'm not going to explain these things because of the time constraint. The online teaching through the pandemic have served highlight new opportunities for hybrid delivery models and redesign education programs. So we have to use that opportunity. Then Sri Lanka must bridge the gap between research and policy with the distinct focus on critical issues in the country such as food security, renewable energy, climate change, COVID-19, pandemic situation, etc. Our university's research have little knowledge of how research initiatives affect sustainability. That is the important thing. One example I will take, because you have this Department of Agricultural Technology. Now, have you upgraded your degree program to fit into the country requirement? One example here. Now, I have shown here the fruit sector, the potential. The potential is so much, but at the where we are. So to grab the full potential from all these countries, right, what we have to do is we have to touch the value addition, post-harvest technology, and self-life increments and those things, especially in fruit sector. If we could do that, then with the available harvest, through the value addition, we can earn a lot of dollars, lot of foreign exchange. So we have to think of our biosystem technology degree program, whether it has been considered. If not, how we are going to make any changes in the similar pattern. So anyway, I have to tell that country has an urgent need to reshape higher education landscape, to provide higher education to the youth, to make them a completely new breed empowered with future-ready skills. We call IE4UF, that is Innovative Education for Unshaped Future. That is the thing that we may have to do. So for that, we have 4 major goals to fulfill. One is learners need to acquire new skills and competencies which enable them to fully benefit from the digital dividends of technology. Number 2 is the study programs need to reflect on and react to the development in society and the labor market. Higher education should be a place to consider and even practice future social reforms which can truly harness the benefit of digitalization for all. The 4th one is the opportunities of digitalization for creating new learning spaces should be harnessed to improve the accessibility and quality of educational provision. So for that, Dominic O, great German educationist, he has developed 4 models, right? They have named it with different names. The one is Tamaguchi, Jenga, Lego set, and Transformer. These are the games the children they play in. They have put this way. Now, for example, our present education system is, earlier it was mainly Tamaguchi form because we provide everything, the whole degree program at the beginning and release them. There's no link with the universities of the pass out students. They go their own way. There's no interaction. That is we call Tamaguchi. Now we are moving to the Jenga model, where we provide the whole education at the bachelor's level, but time to time we call them through these alumni associations and for the postgraduate studies and so on. That is the Now most of the universities, they do that. But most useful model is this Lego set. That is the thing that I propose, that just give a little theory knowledge, send to the industry, and come back maybe in the third year or the second year, and then they will learn something at the university which they could solve in the company that they are attached. So like that. And so the transformer model is totally different, which I have proposed, that send the student directly to the industry, try to learn their problems, and come back to the university and try to get the theoretical knowledge to solve their problems. Because this is important, because when I talk to my students, sometimes they said, we learn this, that and this, but we have no application in our life. Why you have teach us these things at the university? So we have no answer, because we have taught that, we thought that we should teach. That is the only thing, right? So let the student to select and tell us, I want this knowledge. For that they have to have this exposure to the real world. So this is the comparison between these three educational methods. And as I said, Tamaguchi solely provided by the teacher, and Jenga provided by again the teacher, but Lego is a self-organized. The transformer method is a mixed method, the instruction design. Then the orientation of teaching content, like that. I am not going to tell all these things because of the time limitation, but you can study this, right? So the differences between these four systems. And now all we know that the most important factor to consider is that whether we have to find out whether present model of learning path is effective enough. I am not going to read all these things, but this will tell, this chart tell the story. Around 25% of the graduates in almost in all different disciplines, they have the feeling that they are unqualified for the job, because the knowledge they have gained at the university is not sufficient to do the job. But we have taught them 120 credit hours of knowledge, teaching, practical. We always go for the credit value, no? We have delivered the credit value, but the relevance to them. So 25% of almost in all disciplines, they say that we have not gained the knowledge what we want to do our job. That's why I said we have to have a very interactive session with the students, and just not with these raw students. They don't know what they tell what they want, but we have to send them to the industry and learn or study and come back, and then they will say what they want to know. So these things I will skip because of the time limitation. Is most of the things you know. These things I have already discussed. Requirement for higher education 2030 during my this thing, and then the next one is this one with the technology-based solutions. Now we talk about technology-based solutions. Now we must taken to ensure that all students have access to technology and the technical support they need to use it. Otherwise, the digital divide may promote new social divide. That is the big problem. That may cause inequality in education. Now, since we can't provide all the physical infrastructure for all the universities, all the schools, there's a difference. But as a solution, if we propose this technology, if disparity is there, then the problem is not solved. You can see that the broadband subscription, Sri Lanka is better than Bangladesh, India, and other countries like those countries. But when you look at the share of the population using the internet, the India is better than us. But broadband subscription, they are lower. So this is the challenge that we have to think about, right? How we are going to do this, right? How India is doing this. This is the way they do it, right? Places where the electricity is not there, they bring their smartphones to one place and the generator provides the electricity, charge. Or the two-wheel tractor or pulled by a donkey is doing the job, right? Free charge in the mobile phones. Through mobile phones, they have the access to internet. But in our country, we don't do that, right? So this is the situation. So future of higher education, I'm not going to talk about this. This is the perception of the industry in the world. This is a worldwide study. And, but because of this time constraint, I will skip those parts. And at the end, I think I have almost, time is, or I give me only 2 minutes. So what we need to reshape the higher education. This is sandwich, multi-layer sandwich type education I proposed, right? Technology should be even more interwoven into the fabric of academic life. And the next one is tenure and promotional requirements need to be reweighted to include technology-based teaching criteria for the academics. And the multi-layer sandwich type education should be introduced, I believe. And with that, I will conclude, and still I believe I take this slide because the most powerful tool is the blackboard and the chalk. No one can replace that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very informative speech on reshaping the higher education landscape in Sri Lanka fits into the age of technology. Now, I would like to invite the Dean, Faculty of Technology, Senior Professor Symposium.Videos to please present the token of our appreciation to Professor Emeritus Gamini Senanayake. Thank you very much. To read the citation for the next keynote speaker, Professor S.C. Gunathilaka, I would like to cordially invite Dr. Kanchana Abbesekara to the podium again. Over to you, Dr. Kanchana.
Thank you, Dr. Hansika. It's a great pleasure and privilege for me to introduce the next keynote speaker of the today's event, Professor Lasantha Chandana Gunathilaka, Professor of Mathematics from Department of Mathematics, Rutgers University, USA, who will be talking to us on breaking free from one-size-fits-all model of education, the role of technology. Professor Gunathilaka has received his BSc degree, honors degree in mathematics from University of Colombo and has obtained his PhD in mathematics from Purdue University, USA. After doing further research in theoretical physics for a few years, he has left the academia field, and again he has joined academia and has spent nearly 2 decades in the ID industry. Then he has returned to the academia again in 2015 and currently serving as an associate teaching professor of mathematics at Rutgers University, USA. As Professor Gunatilaka has wider experience in both academia and the industry, he is specially interested in incorporating technology into his teaching. To date, he has published many scholarly articles and involved wider research activities with the IT industry. So with this brief introduction, now I would like to cordially invite Professor Chandana Lasantha Gunatilaka to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abhisekara. Thank you for your kind introduction. Good morning to all of you. I do not know who is here, so I'm not going to take a chance, and I'm just going to say good morning to all the distinguished guests and all the participants. The theme of this symposium, role of technology in mitigating challenges in higher education sector, is indeed a very timely one. That's because the times we live in, the current time, is full of incredible change due to the computer and internet revolution. Some call it the fourth industrial revolution, and the related outcomes. I'm not going to say any of these changes are turbulent ones. Change is always good. These changes have created challenges everywhere. The ones in the education sector are particularly important to us as educators. But they are important to the whole world too, because how we face these challenges in the higher education sector is going to determine how the future generations will deal with the incoming challenges, and there's bound to be many. In this speech, I plan to present what I believe to be some of the most important of those challenges and discuss the use of technology to mitigate them. So this is going to be sort of the opposite of what Professor Senanayake did in his keynote address. He made a very general description and pointed out the possible solutions at a very high level. I'm going to pick, at least after a few minutes into my speech, I'm going to become go very low level and give some specific, discuss some specifics. But the general theme is going to be, I will argue that the challenges affecting the rest of the world, the society, economy, everything else, is because of the computer and internet revolution. Those challenges are not divorced from and cannot be separated from what is happening in the education sector. In fact, it is the higher education sector which created most of this new technology. So let's begin by looking at educational technology developments during the past half a century or so. I'm going to start with the US because that's where I am and I'm familiar with. In the United States, the use of computer-related technology in the education sector started in early 60s, mostly as a response to Sputnik, the space race, these things. Specifically, there was the Vocational Education Act in 1963, and some individuals started working on introducing very basic things, ideas about programming, making people more educated about what's happening with computers and other technologies. But things became more prevalent. The educational technology, which can be related to what's happening today, became more prevalent in the 70s and the 80s when the microcomputers came in. And one of the, in the United States, the logo language was created by Seymour Papert, who used it for education. And I should mention the 70s, 80s microcomputers. It was not just the developed countries, not just the West. I remember how in Sri Lanka, late Professor Vidyajyothi Samaranaike, how he worked hard to introduce microcomputers to the university and to the schools as well. And then in the 1990s, the CDs and the World Wide Web, the internet, made their intrusion into the education sector. Everyone was very much interested in having computer labs which have not just any computers which can have CDs, and also internet connectivity. But then an explosion of technological advances occurred during the past 20 years or so, and it affected all spheres of human activity. But we want to know to find solutions to these challenges. We want to figure out whether what's happening now, what started happening, say, half a century ago, whether it is just evolution or is it a revolution? Because if it is just a normal evolution, we don't have to make a paradigm change. But on the other hand, if it is a true revolution, then there has to be big changes. So let's to figure out, I believe, even though we are talking about what's happening right now, the present, the modern technology, the best way to learn about things is to look at the history. History is the best teacher. So let's make a brief excursion into the history of education. The objective is to understand how changes occurred and challenges were met in the past. So in 2000 years ago, the oral tradition of education was the prominent one. Knowledge was stored in memory. Of course, they had books and they had writing, but it was not considered as the best way of learning. Students learned they memorized by listening and by reciting, and not by reading. In fact, learning by reading, which meant memorizing by reading, was not considered as the best way to learn. There is this story how Plato relates to when Socrates caught one of his students pretending to recite a speech from memory that in fact he had learned from a written version. Socrates told the student Phaedrus a story. The story is about a god who gave the gift of writing to an Egyptian king. And I have a few quotes from this story. Socrates says, "Writing will implant forgetfulness in their souls. They will cease to exercise memory because they will rely on what is written, creating memory not from within themselves, but by means of external symbols." The last line is very interesting. "What you have discovered is a recipe not for memory, but for reminding." So this is ancient history, but don't we see a parallel here? Don't you feel, don't you think that this is how we felt when students, instead of learning basic arithmetic and how to do calculations started using calculators. That's the same way we felt 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago when technology started moving in. The other things I want to point out about oral tradition is that it required a very close relationship between the teacher and the student, and the selection of the students, the criteria that were used were very restrictive. So this is sort of playing into the sub-theme of my talk, that there used to be very few, the education was limited to very few people, only those who fitted certain criteria. The students had to fit those a small number of single sizes for a single teacher model, or they were not going to be part of the education. But it did not matter much then, because the world did not require so many educated people, at least not the kind of people who would be educated by the Socrates or Aristotle and Plato's or similar ones in the Oriental tradition. And then the other tradition of education which supplanted oral tradition is the written tradition. The written tradition of education and scholarship coexisted with oral tradition for many thousands of years. But it became the dominant one once Gutenberg created the first printing press. And before the press, access to books was restricted to a few, but the invention of the press created a wider literate public. So again, we are looking at parallel, because even though this is ancient 500, 800-year-old history, because this is exactly what's happening now. Before the computers, the access to the internet, the wide access to news, knowledge, social media, what's happening in the society, all this were restricted to a few. But the invention of the internet and the computer technologies created a wider computer literate public, or a public which is thirsty for that, what is available on the internet and what is available through the computer technologies. And then during that revolution, after the invention of the press, that in turn made for widespread use of documents by governments, churches, and businesses, because the more people were literate, the more people could read or had access to the written word. It made sense for the governments and the church and the businesses to write down their decrees, write down their laws, constitutions, everything, because or for the businesses to write down their transactions and use them, because the more people, at least more people who would matter to those businesses or to the governments or to the churches, which meant the rich and the powerful, but they became literate. In fact, books became the trusted authorities on everything. So as opposed to 1500 years before that, Socrates would look down upon books, but now books became the trusted authorities on everything. Landmarks of human achievements became identified by publishing of the books, like Newton's Principia or Adam's Wealth of Nations or Marx Das Kapital. So think about it. These are all landmarks of human achievement, significant landmarks. But we think of them, they are marked by, we don't even realize, but they are marked by the publishing of books. And the correct way of doing anything became doing it by the book. So here is something I just had to put here. So Shakespeare, Juliet's highest compliment to Romeo is, "You kiss by the book." So that's how important books became. Today, but again, by comparison, today we judge authority, or at least most people do, by doing a Google search or going into Wikipedia. And doing things by the book has changed too. If you want to find out how to do something today, we watch a YouTube video. And the other thing which happened after the written tradition became the dominant one, after the revolution of the printing press, is that the written tradition also became the norm of the higher education. So you see the point I'm trying to make. If you go by comparison, we are going to make technology or things associated with technology the norm of higher education today. So let's look at the nature of the current educational challenges. We did talk enough about history. The computer internet revolution created a huge social and economic changes. And it is also a key factor in driving globalization. The importance is that is going to determine or affect the social and economic fabric of the modern world. And when the economics changes, everything is going to depend on that, and we'll have to make corresponding changes. And the social media has become, it's not entertainment or gossip. I'm pretty sure all of you remember, and you have had in Sri Lanka had first-hand experience, how much of a role it plays in everything, including politics. And similar to what happened after the invention of the printing press, everything is going to depend on the new norms, the new technologies. Just like the universities, higher education 500 years ago started gravitating towards books instead of the oral tradition, now we need to impart new skills and knowledge again, but this time the difference is we have to impart this knowledge, we have to teach everyone. 500 years ago, even though the revolution started by the printing press required a certain number of learned people, certain number of people who can write and read and work as clerks or accountants for the businesses, or couriers or ambassadors for the kings and the church leaders. Today, everyone has to be educated because everyone is connected and everyone plays a role in this global economy. So we face a real paradigm change in education, and changing syllabi or writing new textbooks is not going to work. We need to answer the current challenges. We will have to go find our tools for the education center from the same computer and internet technologies which started the whole thing. So let's look some of the needs of the hour. What exactly do we have to solve? What exactly do we have to do if we have to make these big changes? Earlier I mentioned that we have to educate everyone. Education cannot be limited to a few people. The higher education needs to serve a wide array of students. And that's why we cannot, as educators, rigidly enforce one-size-fits-all solutions. The current way, for hundreds of years, we had entrance criteria for the universities, which in fact started years before the university entrance. Of probably these days it starts even before the 5th grade. And the objective of school education was basically to prepare the students for those entrance exams. And those who could fit the requirements, those who would be willing to uh, figure out how to pass the exams would get in, and the others would not. But now we cannot afford to leave those people behind. Also, it does not make much sense that to have this sort of restrictive entrance requirements to get into the education. And also, talking about flexibility, the same is true about educators too. So I want to say this. Administrators should not force educators to implement rigid pedagogical solutions either. The second need of the current age is that lifelong learning is necessary. It is necessary to cope with constant technological, economical, and social changes. So students will need access to education for different purposes and at various stages of their careers. And higher education sector should be willing to and be ready to fill these needs. And then there is a third one, something I think is extremely important. And instead of, let me rather use the words of someone much more qualified than I am. So I'm going to quote someone, the person who is much more qualified than I am. Now that technology has disintermediated the editorial function, allowing anybody to publish his or her own views of events, it is our responsibility, and this is talking as an educator, to educate students to be discerning consumers of news and arguments. And this last sentence is really beautiful. We need to teach our students to be quick to understand and slow to judge. And these are words from the current president of the Harvard University from his 2018 installation address. That's what Harvard calls the inauguration by Lawrence Beckhoff upon assuming the presidency of Harvard. So why is this so important? The one reason, there are many reasons, but one reason which we have seen, which we see every day, is the advent of social media. And that is what President Beckhoff is referring to. And we have seen a lot of it, but I'm going to show you one thing that is sort of related to us. This picture went viral in social media just a few months ago. And I'm asking, I don't expect an answer. How did we react? And this is the picture. This picture went viral in social media. It made rounds in some groups where some of us involved in the technology faculty, University of Colombo, are members of. And there were all types of reactions to this. And people were very quick to say, this is a wonderful invention. Why didn't anyone think about this all this time? So are we analyzing this situation properly? Are we being too quick to judge? I'm very happy to say one of our friends, someone who is associated with the technology faculty too, and probably most likely in the audience too, or at least was in the audience, gave a wonderful analysis of this supposedly new invention or the idea, utilizing what he learned at the university, the physics and the applied mathematics, and of course logic. And there is much to add to, and we can look at it. But the point is, the point President Beckhoff of Harvard University mentioned was, whatever we see, whatever we come up with, we should be able to analyze quickly, and it should be part of our education, or at least the role of our role as educators, to impart to students So now I want to talk about solutions, technology solutions, which can address some of these concerns and the challenges. And I'm going to propose the learning management systems as the new medium of education to mitigate the challenges the education sector is facing. They can also, I argue that they can also help solve that one-size problem, by which I really mean one-size-fits-all is just a catchword. What I really mean is just a catchphrase. What I mean is that we should be able to serve diverse students, diverse student bodies. So what is a learning management system? The learning management system is a software application used for the delivery of educational content and assessments, the administration and documentation of educational courses, and something which helps educators identify learning issues using data analytics and also helps in reporting and automation. I will go into this in somewhat greater detail in the next slide in a couple of minutes. And just in case you wanted, and I'm pretty sure most of you have used them. I know the University of Colombo, at least the science faculty uses them, and I see Dr. Javera in the Zoom participant list, and I'm pretty sure he's the one who runs that at the science faculty. And we have had with Professor Jayanthi, we have had some discussions about setting up a cloud server for the technology faculty, and we are working on it, and hopefully we would be able to get that for the faculty by the end of the year. But once you get that, once you implement the learning management systems, there are hundreds of choices. Some of the Canvas and Sakai are the ones I'm most familiar with. They are open source systems. And then there are cloud-based systems like the Google Classroom. And there are proprietary ones, the ones you have to pay money, like Blackboard. But there are hundreds. There are so much to choose from. So using the learning management system, I'm going to be very specific and speak based on my experience of using the Canvas. So disclaimer, Canvas is a very good learning management system, but I'm not part of it, and this is not an endorsement. It is just that this is what I'm familiar with, and I can describe to you well. I use Canvas. I use this learning management system for content delivery. So now again, this is the difference between the way we learned, the way the classical education was for more than 500 years. It was using books. The professor would give you notes, or professor would deliver the lecture and we would write notes. And that's pretty much what it was. But now the content delivery, we provide lecture slides, videos, handouts, all kinds of additional material, and all of them can be delivered through the content management system. And having that one place to store them, it solves a lot of, it makes things very efficient. You don't have to change things from semester to semester. Of course, you add new things. You will never work with the same thing for too long. Even if you are teaching the same course, you want to go through and make changes to your slides, your presentations, your videos. And I also use the learning management systems to give quizzes, assignments, assign projects, and they can be done online. I can set up quizzes so that different students get different problems by creating question banks and randomly assigning them to quizzes. And I can use integrated tools like lockdown browsers, which stop the student from using any other while using the computer, using anything else to, for example, stop them from going into say Wikipedia or some other site and finding the answers. Also uses the webcam and uses artificial intelligence tools to make sure that the student is they adhere to academic integrity standards. And those things are these tools are so advanced. For example, while the students in my classes are taking online quiz using the Canvas or pretty much any other learning management system, I can see what problem they are doing, how many minutes they have been working on one particular problem, how much time they have left, pretty much anything. And after the quiz or the assignment is over, I would get analytics, how they did by question, what the averages were, what was the most difficult questions, what questions they found easiest. So all these things, all this feedback we get as instructors help us do things better. And then when it comes to grading, the learning management systems have many built-in tools too. I can create a rubric for my graders or for my teaching assistants to grade. I can create a rubric and they can use the built-in tools such as Speed Grader for Canvas to grade things very quickly. I will talk about this a little bit more in the next slide because that's going to be one of the more important things I'm going to pick up. Then the students of the grade book is also built into the learning management system, and it is not just a record of how the students perform, not a list of numbers. It's more than that, because we can find out all kinds of analysis with the grades using the grade book. Also, if you want to make any sort of a curve, if you want to decide if you want to, let's say, you want to let the students have a feeling as to how they did, getting a 90 in one exam and getting a 75 in another exam, it could be very different, it could be similar, because it all depends on how others performed, what the expectations were, or many other factors. And the gradebook has facilities to do that kind of data analysis and to work with data to give the students a meaningful feedback that is beyond just numbers. And the learning management systems can be used for communication too. And it is better than email. I mean, it is basically email that is built in or integrated with the learning management system. But I find it extremely useful because I can separate the communications coming from students in one course from students in another course. And if I use the regular email, you cannot do that unless you follow a complicated set of rules and set them up to send emails to different folders. So the learning management systems incorporate all these things, including, for example, Zoom or anything like that. During the pandemic, or if I need to even now do my lectures using Zoom, I don't have to go to Zoom as a separate thing. It is built into the learning management system. When I create Zoom links for the class, it is open only for the students who are registered for that class, and I don't have to send them links or anything. They see what is there. It goes into their sort of like the daily calendar or the dashboard, so they know there is going to be a Zoom lecture, and everything can be done through the learning management system. Another thing that can be used is surveys. It allows for anonymous surveys too, and there are chat rooms. And there are many other things, and the people who develop learning management systems keep integrating, keep improving them. This is one of the things. I think this is the way we should go with structuring and creating educational solutions. Now I want to take one of the tools that is integrated with the one particular tool, which is integrated with learning management systems, and talk about one aspect of technological solutions to the challenges we face, and that is that of assessment. So I want to talk about one tool I have been using for the past, just for the past couple of semesters. GradeScope is a tool that is used for grading. So what is so big about that? It is an online grading tool, and it allows us to grade paper-based assignments too. So basically, last week, I gave my students an exam, and I picked the paper-based exam. They write their answers in the paper, the stapled exam. And what you do is cut off the staples. So that's about that's probably the hardest thing about grading using GradeScope. You cut them off and feed them into the scanner. The scanner can take hundreds of pages in one go and everything, all the exams, hundreds of papers in a couple of minutes, and convert it to a PDF, which I upload to the learning management system, or rather the GradeScope tool that is integrated into the learning management system. And then, so what is great about this tool is it has artificial intelligence built into it. Of course, I have to give I have to teach GradeScope how where the names of the students are to be found. So basically, I feed it one of my exams, a blank copy of the exam, and tell it this is where the students were supposed to write their names. This is where they were supposed to write their ID, and these are the questions in that exam. And it can go through the handwritten student names and many other things, like, for example, multiple choice questions, the marks, the boxes where the answers are supposed to be written, and go through that, use its artificial intelligence abilities, and give me and sort and separate all the student exams, and then separate the questions, and give me allows me to create questions or parts of questions one by one. So why is this so good? So this is what I was talking about, and GradeScope is used by many universities here, including some of the big names like Duke, Princeton, Berkeley. Why did I write Duke twice? I think I meant Stanford. Okay. And can handle a variety of question types, including programming assignments. And they can be manually graded, auto-graded, or we can use a combination, do something hybrid. And also there are built-in checks which can send us similarity reports to flag potential plagiarism cases. And so I will not go into any more details, but you can see it is a wonderful tool. But what is really good about this wonderful tool is it is going to allow us to serve our students and face one of the big challenges, or something I think as one of the most important one, which is the assessment part of education. So assessment is not just about providing a score or a letter grade. The feedback is perhaps more important than giving a grade. So I need to tell you that this education system we follow, and I think that is how it should be. It is not about just giving a final exam and a final project. We give, usually it is normal for educators in the United States and most Western countries to give at least one midterm exam and then a final, most two, definitely in the undergraduate, at the undergraduate level, give two midterm exams. And recently, and I will tell you the reasons in a minute, Many instructors, myself included, started giving 3 midterm exams and 5. So that's a lot of work. Well, not so much. So that's why Gradescope is so important. It helps us handle that much assessment without spending a lot of time. And but more than those assessments, giving them in the middle of the semester, the importance is that it is the importance of the feedback. The Gradescope helps the instructors see a clear picture of how the students are doing via statistical tracking and friendly intervals. So that is what makes our overall decisions. That's how we make our overall decisions, because we can see these are the problems students are finding most difficult, and not just the statistical tracking and the trending tools. When we grade them, when Gradescope creates groups of students who have answered similarly, and when we look at them and decide how those groups should be graded, but more importantly, what kind of feedback should be given to those groups. And so Gradescope in that sense makes meaningful assessment easier. It makes it less tedious and efficient. We can store and reuse comments, and makes it easier to write longer detailed comments, because we don't have to do it. We don't have to repeat. And the other concept which will take another talk to do justice to that, is mastery-based grading. That is a concept that is truly aligned with the solving of this one-size-fits-all problem. And I told you it is a catchphrase. So what I really mean is that to serve a diverse student body, a student body which is diverse because they could have different preparations, they could be facing different challenges, or they could be non-traditional students coming from older students coming from the workforce, looking to coming because of they have a new need to learn new things. Using assessment tools such as Gradescope, integrated with the learning management system, is the best technological solution we have to implement this. This is a selection of a very small selection of things that can be done, that are being done using technological solutions and especially learning management systems. So some concluding remarks, some final thoughts. We definitely need to invest, and I think Professor Senayak mentioned that we need to, the governments, whoever needs to invest in technology and supporting the faculty to use them. And don't throw your books away. The learning management systems are wonderful things, but as a self-confessed bibliophile, I think you can see in the background how much I love books. So despite all the technology, we don't want to throw books away. And so I will tell you a couple of little things. So one is one of the things I am experimenting with is to give students, let them use formula sheets or cheat sheets. And in many Western universities, we don't allow it in Sri Lanka, but many Western universities, some, or not all, but quite a few instructors let students bring a small number of formulas. I have started an experiment this semester to let them bring their formula sheet or cheat sheet, but they have to submit it with the exam. With their exam papers. So what I want to do is I am trying to impress upon them that a formula sheet is not a list, that it is sort of a book. So I want to and creating a proper formula sheet or a cheat sheet would be sort of like give them experience about write in the book how to present them, how to create a mind map, how to create, I mean, it can even be pictures, but it is the same ideas. Those great authors during the, or which is still there, during the written word, where the education was given by books and knowledge was in books. Those authors, we would just read the books, but writing the book is the highest form of scholarship or academic achievement. And what I try to do with this one page for the final, it is going to be 2-page cheat sheets or formula sheets, is sort of try to bring back that written word, the ability to write things, and it has a place in this era of digital technologies. And also, even the practices associated with oral traditions, they can be extremely useful. For example, one of the big things with the new education is active learning or flipped classrooms. And active learning, what is used in active learning is pretty much what was used thousands of years when the oral education was dominant. It was very important for a teacher who was in oral education to use active learning, use performance. So even, much of the poetry or the way, say, in Buddhism, how the Dhamma is given in verses, all of that had to do with the need for a proper oral performance, which would make it easier for students to follow oral scholarship, oral teaching traditions. But they have uses, they are universal terms, and they can be used in the digital classroom too. And also, I want to say something about the faculty, the educators who teach. Despite all the efficiency, these tools take a lot of work and time for the user. That means for the lecturers, for the professors. The efficiency is due to the large numbers served, and the importance is to serve many different students and large numbers of those students without discrimination. But the work of the educator increases. The same way, the role of in some way, the role of technology is to let the instructor do even more work on behalf of the students. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. And thank you for listening. And I want to thank the organizers, especially the Dean of the Technology Faculty, Senior Professor Symposium, for this opportunity. And hopefully I was able to communicate with something that can be really implemented, can be really done in the near future. And I would be very happy to work with you to make this happen, make this revolution happen. Thank you.
Speech, Professor Gunathilaka has delivered his keynote speech via Zoom from USA. Now it's time to show our gratitude to Professor L.C. Gunathilaka. Though he is not physically here in the symposium venue, we symbolize the presentation of the token of our appreciation. I would like to cordially invite Senior Professor Sumedha Jayanthi, the Dean of the Faculty of Technology, to please present the token of our appreciation. Thank you very much, sir. It marks the end of the keynote session. Before we conclude the proceedings of the inauguration ceremony, I have pleasure to invite Dr. Kanchana Abesekara, the Faculty Symposium Chair, to propose the vote of thanks. Podium is yours, Dr. Abesekara.
Thank you, Dr. Hansika. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to deliver the vote of thanks at the 6th Annual Research Symposium of the Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo. On behalf of the organizing committee, first, I would like to convey my deep regards and special gratitude to our chief guest of today's event, Senior Professor and Chair H.D. Karunaratne, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, for his outstanding contribution, accepting our invitation and gracing this occasion. My heartfelt thanks and sincere gratitude is extended to two keynote speakers, the Emeritus Professor Gamini Senanayake, the former Vice Chancellor, University of Ruhuna, and Professor Chandana Lasantha Gunatilaka, Professor of Mathematics from Rutgers University, USA, for their inspiring, innovative, and timely important ideas supporting the themes of this year's research symposium. Thank you very much, sir, for your outstanding contribution, and we all are inspired from your great ideas. My next deep sense of appreciation is extended to Professor K.P. Hewagamage for his outstanding contribution and dedication as the chairperson to the Annual Research Symposium 2022 of the University of Colombo. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Rector Shripali Campus, Deans of Faculties, Directors of Institutes, Industry Consultative Committee members, Faculty Board outside members, and all the other distinguished invitees for their extreme presence at today's symposium. Success of the Annual Research Symposium 2022 of the Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo is basically due to entire staff of the Faculty of Technology. My wholehearted special gratitude is extended to Senior Professor Sumedha Jayaneththi, the Dean of the Faculty of Technology, for his invaluable guidance, leadership, and tremendous support extended in all stages of the symposium activities. Otherwise, we will not be able to perform this event this much success. This year, the Annual Research Symposium was organized by the Department of Agricultural Technology from Faculty of Technology. I take this opportunity to thank all the staff members of the Department of Agricultural Technology for their tremendous efforts to get this event a success. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The organizing committee of the Annual Research Symposium 2022 put timeless efforts in getting this event a success. My heartfelt gratitude and special appreciation is extended to all the members of the editorial committee, IT committee, and food and beverage committee of the faculty. Without their support, we will not be able to organize this event successfully. I also greatly acknowledge the immense support extended by the heads of departments, Dr. Jayani Vevalwala, Professor Ranjana Piyadasa, Dr. Hansika Atapattu, and Dr. Rohan Samarasinghe for various activities of the Annual Research Symposium 2022. Further, my sincere thanks extended to Mr. Dal Abesinghe, Senior Assistant Bursa, Ms. Tanuja Damayanti, Assistant Registrar of the faculty, for their continuous support to make this event a success. Furthermore, all the academic, non-academic, and academic supportive staff members who helped us in numerous ways would like to appreciate by heart. Moreover, I would like to greatly acknowledge the greatest help extended by the students of the Faculty of Technology for various arrangements and preparation of plaques with the guidance of the academic staff of the Department of Instrumentation and Automation Technology. My special appreciation goes to Dr. Hiran Jayavira and FOSMedia team for accepting our invitation with a very short notice and performing video coverage, live streaming, and sound management of today's event. Further, I would like to greatly acknowledge Dr. Ruan Kalubovila, Mr. Manula Doratiava, and all the other members of the IT committee for their greatest support for handling the session successfully. Furthermore, Technomedia team is also greatly acknowledged for their greatest support in photographic coverage of the event. I wish to thank all the authors who have sent their research papers, all the reviewers for providing valuable comments to improve the quality of research papers, and all the session chairs for chairing technical sessions of the symposium. My special heartfelt gratitude is extended to Dr. Aruna Kumara, Ms. Nimeshika Pereira, Ms. Tilini Jayaprada, Ms. Chaturika Silva, Dr. Hansika Atapattu, and Dr. Ruan Kalubovila for their tremendous, continuous, and greatest support in planning, organizing, and conducting today's event successfully. I am very much thankful to the sponsors of today's event, S&D Associate Private Limited, Hemsons International Private Limited, and Analytical Instruments Private Limited for their generous financial support. Otherwise, this event would have not been possible to organize this much success. I am sure that they will continue to support the events of this nature in the faculty in future as well. Finally, I would like to mention that the organizing committee of the Annual Research Symposium 2022, with the immense guidance of the Dean of the Faculty of Technology, made sincere efforts to enhance the quality of symposium by taking some new initiatives, such as introduction of exhibition to showcase the research and development output of the Faculty of Technology, which can be commercialized in the long run, showcasing the faculty research and development strength to attract the academia and industry to develop public-private partnerships, and showcasing potential avenues for fund generation with the newly intake modern equipment to the faculty and etc. I hope the Faculty of Technology can showcase the commercialized products in coming symposiums, and my sincere wishes to reach the innovation culture and research and development capacity of the faculty to reach its greater heights. Once again, I would like to thank everyone whose contribution has made this symposium a successful symposium, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abesekara. Ladies and gentlemen, the inauguration ceremony of the 6th Annual Research Symposium of the Faculty of Technology, University of Colombo is now concluded. Thank you very much for participation, and all the participants joined via online and physically. Please stay tuned. After the lunch break, we will start the technical sessions at 1 p.m.